In this video, I'm going to discuss how to use HTML forms in web pages, right? So first of all, let's see what is form, right? Actually, a HTML form allows user to interact with web document. That is, HTML form providing the graphical user interface, or we call GUI controllers for data entry, right? So that is HTML forms simply collect data from users. All right. So this is example for HTML forms. Actually, this form is designed to collect data from students, right? So this is labeled as student information. So in here we can find some fields, right? So first one is name, right? So in here students can fill their names, right? So here we have text box. So this is called text box, and here so date of birth. Then here we can select the relevant date from the calendar, right? So here there is a calendar, and then here student can select the gender, right? So in here we call these radio buttons, right? Radio buttons. So this they can select one of them, right? And then here we have we call this is drop down list, right? So in the drop down list there are several countries, so you can select the relevant or the your country or student country. And then here we have special kind of text box, we call this is text area. All right, so this is for entering address, because address contains several lines, right? And then here we have several, we call these are several check boxes, right? So we can check these boxes as you wish, right? Okay. And then here we can have the two buttons we call submit and reset button, right? Okay, so this is the example for HTML form. So this can be used for collecting data from the students, right? Okay, then uh, in HTML form, actually form is inserted into the document by placing form fields, right? So form define the tag called form, right? So then form tag has the following minimum format, right? So this is the syntax of form tag, right? Form, and then form should have name, right? So because they are in one particular web page, may have several forms. So in order to uniquely identify those form, should be labeled by the its name, right? Then form tag should contain the attribute called name. Then we can assign name for that particular form. And then action, that means the URL to send data, right? So a form is used for collecting data, then there should be a URL to send this data, right? There should be a URL to send this data. So you can set the URL by using this action attribute. And then in order to send this data, there are two methods we call get and post. So you have to use either get or post, right? So then here is, so you now the action attribute provide URL to suitable form handler. Form handler means the handling the data sent through the form, or the data passed from the form, all right? And then method attributes specify how form data is sending, all right? So how it is sending the data, that should be passed to the handler via get or post method, right? And then there are some other attributes as well, such as the accept, encrypt, so something like that, right? So target, something like that. So let's see those things in later, right? Okay, and then let's see how to design form, right? So there's a tag called input tag, right? So which is used to add input fields into the form, right? And then the type of the attribute in input tag tell user agent what type of fields is signifies, right? So it may be a text box. So as I explained earlier, it may be a text box, or it may be a say text area. So it may be a button, or it may be a some kind of a radio button, or it may be a checkbox, something like that, right? So that is depend on the attribute inside the input tags. So let's see those things in examples, right? So in next one is HTML that all input fields contain name or ID attributes, right? So assume there are two text boxes, right? So there should be a unique ID for those two text boxes. That is for uniquely identification, right? So you have to set name or ID for those attributes, right? So I explain those types of fields, right? So we can have text box, or we can have text area, we can have radio button, a list, or we call drop down list, right? Check boxes, and there can be hidden fields, and then you can have submit or reset button at the bottom of the form, right? So this is one example, right? So this is root element, and then in the header section we can have a title for the form, right? And then here I'm going to design the uh, web form for the login or user logins, right? And then in body section we can have a form, right? Then in form type, there are several attributes which are required. The first one is name, that is for identification of the form, and then next one is method, that is get to post, and then next one is the action, that is URL to send the data. All right. And then in here actually I don't have that file at the time, but in here I set the login.php as a URL to send the data from this form. All right. So next one is in here I have insert text box to enter username. All right. So in here tab is text, right? Here tag is input, and then the type. Here if it is text box, the type is text, and then we can have a name or ID for uniquely identification. In here I use the name attribute name, and then I set a name, and then initially value is null. All right, initially value is null, but in here actually it's better to set something like this, right? Null value, and then I break that into next line, and then here I insert another input tag, and then finally I insert two button for submit and reset, and then close the form, close the body section, and then we can close the HTML document. Right. So let's see those how to create that web form. Right. So in here I open the Notepad application, and then first of all I save this. Actually I'm going to save in here I have a folder called forms, right? Forms. I'm going to save my web login form in here. Then I assign a name, say login form 1.html. So this is my file name, right? So this is my file name, login form 1.html, login form 1.html, right? Okay, and I save this. Okay, then I start, right? So first tag is doc type, so this is my document type HTML, and then I open the HTML root element, and at the same time I close the HTML root element, and then the head section, and then close the head section and title, right? So this is login form, this is login form title, and then this is body section. So here I close the body section, then the login form. So therefore I insert level 1 heading, say login. All right, then close level 1 heading and insert the form tag form. Then I set a name for the form, say login 1, and then the method of pass data. Then I set a post, and the action is say login db.php. All right, and then at the same time I use the form closing tag, and inside opening and closing form tag I insert first one is a label. Actually, the label is user name. All right, and then text controller is text box. So the tag is input and the tag type is text. All right, text. Then I have to set name for the tab. All right, no name for the actual text box. Right. Then I set a username. I set a uname, and then the value is empty. All right. Okay. Then I use the break tag in order to go to the next line. Okay. Then I keep this form in right side or say left side, and then now I open the web forms login form one. All right. So this is my form. So this is source code, right? So this is my login form. This is source code, right? Okay, so this is login form. This is my source code, right? Then next one should be the text box for the password. And I put the label is password, and then text box input, then type. And I said say text, and then name for the password textbook. Say I use say password wd, and then initial value should be empty. Then I put break. I save and refresh. Now you can see that text box is also there, right? Okay. Then I have to insert two buttons. All right. Then that input type, the first one should be submit button, submit, and then the value should be value is the what you call label of the button, right? This is submit, so therefore I put say submit as the label. And then next one should be the reset button or the cancel button, input type. Then the type of the input is say reset. All right. Then I can set the value or label for this button. I set say cancel and save this. Right. And refresh. Now you can see those two buttons are there. Right. Okay. So this is my source code. So this is the tab for the this what you call that describe the form the document type, right? And then this is the root element, and then this is the header section. Inside the header section I put login form as a title, and then within the body section I insert login as a level one heading. And so this is the section that we are interested in this lesson, that is form tag, right? So in form tag, so there are three essential attributes: name, that's name for the form, and the method, that's the method of passing data, and then action, that is the URL to send this data. Then these are the text controllers. So in first one is text box. So we can have a tag called input tag, and then inside the input tag there are several attributes. First one is type. Actually here we describe the type of the input. Here we set the text box, so therefore I set text as the type, and then here I set name for the text box, username, that's therefore you set uname, then the initial value is null. Next text box, that is also a set text box, and then there is a name or the unique identifier for the text box, pass wd, or you can set whatever name, and then initial value is null. And then we have to insert two buttons, one for the submit, so the input tag, then the type attribute, that the type of the input is submit, that is submit button. Then we can set a label or the value for that button. You can say add or submit or login or whatever. Say login. If you want, I can say log or login, something like that, right? Okay. Earlier we said submit, right? And then next button is reset. Then I can set value cancel, right? So here earlier submit, then when I replace, it's changed to login, right? Then I can set say values, say short, and then say password, say 123. Now you can see you can I'll say actually see the password in here, right? That password is shown in here, all right? But usually, when you type the password, it should be hidden, right? So therefore, in type, input type, there's a special type what we call password, right? Should be password. So once if you say text, you can that password the text that you type in here is shown, right? But once if you set password and I refresh this, now I type the same thing and then password. Now you can see that password is hidden, right? So this is hidden, right? So therefore, so the value should be hidden. So therefore, I have to set this one as password, right? This one as password. Okay, so this is how we create the login form. Then next, let's see the how can we create the form something like this, right? So here we have text box, here we have two radio buttons and drop down list, and then we can have text area and then check boxes, so those things, right? So let's see how can we create that kind of forms, right? Actually that source code is there. Let's see to the example. Okay, then I take new, I open new notepad document, and then I save this one as say student information, student info, say in student info form dot html. So this is the file name that I have said, student info form, right? Or student info uh, information, something like that, right? So you have to just say meaningful name, right? Dot html should be the extension, right? Then I save this. Okay, I close this web browser. So I'm going to save my file in here. Yeah, actually I have saved it in the forms folder, right? So let's see how to create the form something like this, right? How to create form something like this, right? So text box and then calendar, say date of birth, and then say radio buttons, drop down list, text area, and checkboxes. Okay, here heading is student information. Okay, let's see how can we create that form. Okay, then I start with the doc type tag. Type of the document is HTML and root element, closing root element, and then head section, closing head section, and the title. So title is student information, and the body section, and then closing the body section, and then level 1 heading, and then closing the level 1 heading, and then student information form. In form name is student information, say st info. All right, then the method of passing data is say post, even you can use get, and then action say stinfo db.php. All right, okay, then I maximize this one, and then the closing tag of the form is easy, right? And then so this is what you want, this one, right? So this is what we need, right? So this one, student information. Okay, then first one is the text box. Then so I maximize this one. All right. Then input type. First one should be text type, and that is student name. And the name of this tag I say is the name, and then the value is null. So this is text, right? So at the beginning of this text, I say student name, and then I'll move to the next line. I save this, right? So let's see. So this is my form, right? Okay. Then I insert the next tag, that is date of birth, date of birth. So in here, so there's an input type called date, all right, so which will provide calendar for input for entering data, actually to enter date, right? So you can select date easily by use this calendar, right? So I say DOB is the name, and then initial value is empty, right? Then I use the BR tag to break the line. Okay, then I refresh. Now you can see here you can have a calendar, right? This is easy for the user, right? So this is easy uh, to insert the date, right? Something like this, right? Okay. Then next one is the gender, and there are two values, right? Gender, there are two values. Put colon in here. Okay, two value. First one is male. Then I say for the readable format, see in here I use say input tag, input. Then the type is radio. Then the name of the tag is say gender. All right. Then once if you select this radio button, I set value as male. Next one is also same female. Then the input tag, input type, then type is radio, and then name. So once if you say name as gender, all right. So here, so I said that the name of the tag should be unique within the form, right? So this should be unique within the form. That means that once if you set the name for a one particular uh, text controller, so you can't set the same name for any other controller within the same form. That means this name cannot be duplicated within the form. So we call, so this value should be unique within the form, right? But in here, right, so two controls, so there are two radio buttons, but both are having same value for the name, right? So I'll explain that later. So in here, the value, once if you select this radio button as a gender, this value should be female, right? Then I use the break tag. Okay, let's see. All right, so this is our web form. Then I refresh. Okay, now you can see, now you can select either male or female. All right, so you can't select both, right? Because of here, because here we set same value for the name, right? So once if you select gender 1 here and then gender 2 here and then save, that means in here, right, these two controllers are considered as two different controllers, two different radio buttons, right? So now these two are considered as two different radio buttons. So in that case, you can select both, right? But what do you want? You want to set that user can select one at a time, right? So that means you can user has to select either this or this. So in order to do that, there should be a one name for the both radio ones. So the thing is, if it is one name, they can set only one value. They can't set both values. So if it is one name here, we can select either male or female, something like that, right? So that's why we set one value for the these both radio buttons. right? Okay, then next control is drop down, right? So let's see how can I set the drop down list. All right, in India we have to select the country, and then there is a control called select. The name of the selection is country. Then I close the selector. Select. Right. So I keep same indentation. Okay. So inside the select, I'll set the options. Right. There are several options. Right. So first option name is say. So actually the we have to set the value for the options. Right. So once if you select this option, say in here there should be a closing tag for the option. Then as a label, first one I select Sri Lanka. So once if you select this option, then I set value as a SL. Alright. Then I'll select another option. Say option. Then the value is so that's depend on the label. Say I'll set the label is say India. So once if you select this option, you have to set the value as say IND India. Right. So there's India, and the next one is say option, then value. So here I am going to set the label as say Pakistan. So they are say Pakistan. Then I select the closing tag. Okay. So then I'll select one more country. Say option. Then the value is say BL. Then I set say Bangladesh. Then I'll close the option tag. Then I save this. Alright. Then I'll go to the web form and then refresh this. Now you can have drop down list. Alright. So this is here by default that the Sri Lanka has the selected country. So here Sri Lanka is a selected country. So if you want you can add another option, something like this, right? So here, so this is default one. Say so I can say select country or something like that. Select country. So once if you select this, they don't have value, right? So this is empty, right? Or you can select this is empty, right? Right. So then it is something like this. So you have to select the country. Okay. Then next one is the address. So that is text area address. Then there is a tag called text area. Text area. So because if this address it contains several lines, then I say address. For example, say we can say student address or ST address, right? And then we have to close the text area tag. Okay, save this. Okay, so actually in here we have to put the break tag. Here we can use a break tag, something like this, right? Address. And then the final one is the hobby, that is hobby. And then we can select, we can insert several hobbies, say playing or cricket, reading, something like that, right? So I said say playing, right? So here input tag is a checkbox, and then name of the checkbox is a play. Then once if you select this value, then select say play. So it's better to say name as say hobby one, something like that. All right. Then I use the same method for say reading. All right. Then the same type of tag input type. Right. Then the type is checkbox. Actually, there's just many mistake in here. Checkbox and the name. So in here, so some student has to select both. So therefore you have to select different names. Say hobby 2, then the value. So actually say hobby. Sorry, hobby. Right. And then select once if you select this one as a value, say reading. Then I'll select set another one more hobby, say traveling. Here we can set say playing, reading, and traveling. Right. Input type is checkbox, and then name set say hobby 3 and say value. So once if you set this one traveling, then I'll use the break tag br. Okay, let's save this, refresh. So actually in here we have to use break tag after the text area, right? Reading. So in here you can select uh, one or both or these all uh, hobbies. But in here you can select one from both, right? So you can select either male or female. But in here we can select either playing or reading or traveling, or you can select all the hobbies, right? So because here we set different names for three different text boxes, check boxes, right? But in here, we select the same name for the uh, both radio buttons, right? And then actually we need those texts. Okay. Then next one is buttons, all right? So you can use submit button and reset button. Type is say submit, and then value is say submit, and then next one is reset. Put type. So that is reset. Then value is cancel. Save this and refresh. Right, so you can submit this. Right, here you can enter values, right, and the submit. Right, say come on, and then from here we can select date. Right, we can select the country. We can set the gender and address. We can set hobby, and then we can submit. Okay, then you can see the URL that I have set in action in here, because these values are submitted to the action, right? Okay, then next we can see actually the how can we align these texts, how to align these texts, right? Okay, then I set this and then align elements, right? So we can use table, right, in order to align our form, right? Actually table can be used to align elements in form. So let's see how can we use this table in order to align our form. So for example, in earlier now we have selected we have set two forms, right? Login form and student information form. So here these elements are not aligned. So in here also, in here we can use table to align this form, right? So let's see how to do that, right? So in here actually we can use a table with two columns, and here we have three rows, two columns and three rows. So I'll open another, say first one is doc type. Then type of the document is HTML, and then root element. I quickly create table, right? Quickly I'm going to create table, right? And title, say login form. Then I'm going to create table with 3 rows and 2 columns. Say border is say 1. Get 3 rows, right? Okay, in here I have 3 rows. Then I'm going to say login, say form 2.html. This one, right? Okay, so in here I have 2 columns and 3 rows. So now I can insert my label in here in first column, right? First one in here we have say username, username. So in second one we can have say password, right? So this should be empty, right? This should be empty, right? So in here we can insert input tag, right? Input, and type the input is text, right? Something like that, right? So the beginning of the table we can create form, right? And then for these cells we can insert. So for the time is just I remove this. For the cells I can insert the relevant controllers. Okay, then for the time mean I open the first form, this one, and then I copy these controllers from here, right? Here. Okay. Okay. So this is the form tag, and I insert that form tag in here. So let's see the before the table, right? Form tag, and then I use this table for the alignments. So this is the closing form tag. So inside this form opening and closing form tag, I create a table and then use this table for the alignments. So in that case, we don't need break tag. Then in second cell, I insert the text input for the username, and then next one is password, and then here I said uh, insert the password type, right? And then here I insert 2 buttons, right? So that those 2 buttons should be in here, right? Right, and then save this, right, and refresh. Now you can see, right? And then in here to be in here, I close this. Here I'll explain it, right? Okay, so this is the form tag, right? So in order to align this input text controllers, I use the table, right? So in this table I have 2 columns and 3 rows. First column of the first row I insert the username, and then first column of the second row I insert the password as a label, right? Here you can see, and then third row or the first column of the third row is empty, right? So if you want to empty, here we can keep empty of the data set, and then the second column, right? Actually, in first row, so the second column of the first row is input or text input. That is we call text box. So in here, second column of the second row is password input. So therefore, I set the type of the input is password. And then the second column of the third row contains two buttons, submit and reset button, right? Okay, then here I use the same form that I have used in our first example. And then here you can set board is 0. Board is 0. Then nicely align these elements. So if you want, you can align table in center. Align in center. So you can center align the table. Something like that. Right? Now this is align. Right? So you can use the same method to align elements in here, right? So in here you can create a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually 7 rows with 2 columns. 7 rows with 2 columns, right? And then you can use this. You can place these elements in that table, all right? Actually, I have created that form. In here is student info 2, right? I open it. Okay, then in here we can see, right? Here, actually here you can see these elements are not in align, right? But in here, those elements are aligned, right? So here we have two rows, sorry, two columns and 7 rows, right? So let's see how can we do that, right? So I open the source code of this form, and then actually we can see this method. So here we can see form inside the body section, form, right? And then here I use the table. Here I said the width is 372, that is for the pixel width, or just I remove it. Body 0, then I align table in center, right? And then I have used the first row for the topic or the heading, right? It's level 1 heading. And then here these cells are what you call I set some size, right? So no need to worry about this size, right? So I set name in first actually the second row, first column, and then the text control, right? Likewise, we can use this table to uh, align these elements, right? Okay, I think you got this. I'll upload the source code of this form, right? So you can create these forms easily, and then if you have any problem regarding this, please ask for myself, right? So you can ask for me, or if you have any problem via the messages. Okay, thank you very much.